Hi, everyone. I am Jen Wangler, and I am the host of MeetHER podcast, the podcast where we talk about all of the amazing women in West Michigan running technology companies and teams. I am so excited for our guest today. Today, we'll be meeting with Catherine Behrenbrinker, the CEO and founder of Symplicity Communications. Catherine, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm just thrilled to be here.
And you have had a crazy busy week.
I really have had a busy week. It's been really fun, though.
Yeah. So the state of Michigan has a small business development celebration gala that they hold every year. And Symplicity has won the Apex Award this year. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh, I'm happy to. So Michigan Celebrate Small Business was an organization that was created 20 years ago by a couple of individuals that wanted to celebrate small businesses because they recognize the impact of small businesses in the state of Michigan. So they have a couple of different programs, and there's actually 6 organizations that come together to support this award ceremony that happens once a year. In 2018, Michigan had a Celebrates 50 Companies to Watch program that Symplicity won, and that was my entrance into this program. We were thrilled to win it then, and it connected me with the Edward Lowe Foundation. And so I've spent the last 6 years on a CEO roundtable and interacting with the Edward Lowe Foundation. And there's been a lot of connections gained that's helped my business. But what's happened this last week was we were nominated and won the Grand Rapids area region for the Apex Accelerator, which is due in part to our government contracting section. So this is a division that we started 2 years ago, but we're in a really big growth process right now with that. And this division is going to allow us to sell to federal contracts, local and state organizations, and that's a huge influx of business to the company.
Very cool.
It's been really tough navigating all of that with the certifications and everything we've needed, but we're so thrilled to be representing that award for Michigan Celebrate Small Business.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's so exciting. All right, so before we get into some of the other things, tell me a little bit more for our listeners. Tell us a little bit more about Symplicity, what you do, where you're located, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're located right downtown Grand Rapids, and this is the 18th year of my company. I never intended to start a company. It happened by accident, but I'm so grateful that it did. I was working for an organization that I was an account executive for, and the industry was moving into using agents to sell technology. So I was literally pushed off the cliff, handed a resignation letter, handed an agent agreement, and as I drove home from that organization on January 5th, 2007, I realized I'm pretty sure I'm unemployed. I'm pretty sure I need to do something. So I figured out what an agent was and navigated this wonderful, crazy, broken road of entrepreneurship. And so what we do for customers is we dive in and understand what they currently use for technology, whether it's internet, networks, phone systems, cybersecurity, and a lot of cloud services these days. And we help them navigate how to optimize and make that better. So we represent over 300 service providers throughout the globe, and we identify what customers are doing. And maybe it's a focus of cost savings. Maybe it's a focus of optimizing technology, but it's absolutely about designing better technology solutions to help them communicate with their clients.
So, Catherine, you had some exciting news this year with a West Michigan regional grocery chain.
Oh my goodness! I am so thrilled. I've worked with the organization for 7.5 years, and we started just from a perspective of getting better pricing on their technology service, and that's rolled into working with just all of the amazing team members there. We started working recently on rolling out some new phones for the organization. And the cool thing is with that project, the company that we brought to the table was a company called Ring Central. And they have been leading the unified communication as a service industry for the last 9 years on the Gartner Magic Quadrant. And they have about 17,000 agents globally. And right now, because of the sales activity that Symplicity has brought to the table, we are the #1 agent worldwide. Wow. We are the first diamond partner in Michigan, and we are just so thrilled to hold that honor. Sometimes it's just about being first to the table, right? But just knowing how deep their level of agents that they have. We've been working really hard to go through their certified deployment program and deliver excellent products for our clients. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about, is bringing the best technology and making it easier for our clients, no matter what that technology is.
Right. Well, congratulations. I'm sure a lot of work went into that. You're making it sound so easy, but I'm sure a lot of work went into that.
It was a lot of work, but we have great clients. We have great people that we work with, and we try to make their lives easier. And we keep focused on how we can help them meet their initiatives. And when we make them successful, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Catherine, talk to us a little bit more about what it means to be a woman entrepreneur. And then I want to talk to you a little bit more about all of the work that you do in the community. So you and I met, a while ago, but we're also a part of the Technology Council of West Michigan. And then you do a lot for a local organization called Inforum West Michigan. Actually, it's a statewide organization, but they have local chapters.
Right.
So talk to us a little bit more about that.
So it's really key to recruit more women into technology. It's about bringing different perspectives to the table. 87% of buying decisions in households are typically made by the female. So if you think about that, and then you think how male-dominated the technology industry is and who owns those businesses, it's just lopsided. So I think it's always been important for me from the day one when I opened the company is to try to bring more women to the table and give them not just a seat at the table, but a voice. Yeah. We need to empower our employees to, be innovative and bring their best selves to the table. So over the years, I've found different vehicles to kind of help me keep that mission in the forefront. And one of those that I started with was Inforum. I joined that organization in 2009. I think I've been on every committee that they have out there. Sure. And I'm thrilled that it had always been a goal of mine to become a board of directors member on the state board. Mm. And Inforum, headquartered in Detroit, they have 7,000 members today.
That's crazy.
So it is a huge growing organization, but it's also not just women. There's a lot of men. We need men as allies. Sure. This is not an organization that just women make the change, but because we do a lot of professional development, I've done interviews with Inforum over the years, and I've said, I have been not just professionally, but personally enriched by my relationship with Inforum. Sure. And that I love watching for opportunities to bring organizations together, and being on the Technology Council with you and having the coffee circles that we have. I really saw an opportunity to bring the Technology Next and the Technology Council organizations together. I was actually a co-founding member of the Technology Next arm within Inforum.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
It was in 2016, and Becky Puckettwood and I were having coffee maybe it was mine, but we were having coffee one day and said, we really want to network more with women in the technology area. And that first event that we held in March of 2016, we were hoping for 20 people to show up. We had it at the Watermark Country Club. I'll never forget this. And here we were, promoting the event and just sat back and said, okay, if 20 people show up, it'll be a success. Well, 70 people showed up.
Oh my gosh,
and it was
that's great.
We were pinching ourselves. And I remember, okay, well, let's do another one in June. And if we get 20 people again, okay, that'll be good.
Maybe it's a thing. Yeah.
Well, we had 75 people show up the second time, and we looked at each other and said, I think we're on to something. Yes. So that I think that we need to give those vehicles, those opportunities to people where they can plug themselves in. Yeah. Life is so busy, but you have to really reach out and connect. I think that's the beautiful thing of the networking organization that Michigan has. Yeah. Is you step into one of these organizations that feels good, and then you start meeting people and connecting with people, and all of a sudden, you've really nurtured something in that's going to help you personally do better in your career as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say my heart and my work are not far apart, right?
That's totally true. The passion that we have for what we're doing. And, the most important thing that we can do as individuals in our career is to be thinking about mentoring and giving back, because we didn't get to where we are without the help and support of others, both male and female. Yeah. But it's especially important when you see somebody, if you go to an event or you see somebody that would like to step into networking, but maybe they're a little shy and they don't know how. It's our job to watch for those people, invite them, make them feel comfortable, and then they'll take it from there, because I've seen it many times.
Well, it's interesting because we, this past month, we held an event called Go Beyond, and that was one day of women coming together to empower each other, share best practices, share challenges. But the mentorship piece was really stressed in the survey that we did ahead of time. So we did a survey ahead of time to kind of see where women were at and what they were looking for. Definitely looking for mentorship opportunities, looking for in-person types of events. So anytime you can come together in, as opposed to online and virtual. So there's a huge desire for that.
It really is. And I think that when people show up, they go up, is what I like to say.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And a lot of times the mentor is the person who learns the most from the mentee. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's a key component.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more about the Inforum, the work that you're doing there, and even the report that they published a report not too long ago. Mm-hmm. And you and I were talking before this podcast, and you were talking about the fact that this is an historical set of data over a number of years, and kind of a tracking of the history, so that we can see what progress we've made over the years. So talk a little bit more about the history of this report. I have a couple of data points that I want to talk about, but in your perspective, what did that report highlight?
So I think what the report highlights, first it started with a baseline. The very first report just kind of said, where are we with women in leadership in the C-level on boards, right? In the state of Michigan. And so the first thing you need to do is identify what you're trying to measure. But the importance of the report that comes out every 2 years, and if I remember right, I think it's been 20 years, so I think we've had 10 reports. Where are we? Are we making progress? What areas are we making progress in? And most importantly, where are we not making the progress? Because that's the efforts we need to put in, and that helps us identify where we need to put resources and funding and programming. So as a state board member, those reports are critical to our work to design the programs that we need to help our members, because we have several areas to Inforum, and one of them is the professional development. Yeah. It's always about connections. That's what Inforum is, who you're going to meet. And I always say to people, it doesn't matter the topic of the event, just show up. Yeah. And you're going to meet somebody that just makes you feel good and you connect with, and you never know how they're going to impact you. But this report, as a state board member, really helps us identify our strategic goals and if we're making progress. And I think if you don't have goals and you don't have a map to where you're going and you don't measure it, then how do you know you're making an impact? Yeah. And at the end of the day, our job is to make an impact. And how we can make things better and leave things better as we navigate our career. And so that's, to me, what this report and the focus of this report does, and how we must continue to do it every 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the stats that stood out to me is less than 22% of women are in that executive C-suite position, although 50%, equal number of men and women, start at a very entry level. So if you follow their trajectory from entry level to C-suite, somehow it drops off drastically when you get into that executive and that leadership type of role. And so, first question is, why? Why does that happen? And then from your perspective, what is Symplicity doing to kind of help spearhead that?
Yeah, I think, there's a number of reasons why it happens, but I think that the number one thing that I think that we do to help that is our Men as Allies program. We have men on our board. We have men that come to our events, even though Inforum the mission is to help women lead and succeed. Yeah. We need men at the table, because that's the only way we're going to change that statistic at the top. Because if you think about board of directors, when they have an open position, they're going to think of their network. And if we're not sitting or connected to their network, we won't get a seat at that table. So I think that those are areas that we're working to really improve that, is to just making sure that we're visible. We need to be visible. And I think women, what we can do along our career is don't forget to put you first. Don't forget about your education. Don't forget about what are the connections you can make to help. What are the programs that you can volunteer for so that you are seen. So, be intentional. Think about who you're connected to. I remember when I first got involved in Inforum, one of the reasons I got involved was because I attended my first event, which was an inner circle, and I saw the women honorees, I saw the people up at the podium, and I thought, I want to be there. I want to be up there. And I thought, if I could just stand next to some of these people, maybe I would just learn little bits and nuggets from just being near them, right? Sure. But it's so true. You've got to show up. You've got to be present. Yeah. You've got to make an effort. It's really easy to join committees. And one of the challenges, especially as you get plugged in and get busier as an individual, it's hard to navigate all of the meetings, and there's always overlaps of, I can't go to this one because this other group I'm involved in has a meeting on the same day, right?
Absolutely.
But just reach out and communicate to people and let them know that you're there, you want to be involved, and how can you help? I think when you're a giver, good things happen. So if you give your time, we all have time, treasure, and talent, right? If you don't have treasure to give and become sponsors, you've got talents that you can give and be a volunteer, but use your time wisely and budget it and make sure you're intentional so that when you look back at the end of the year and say, what organizations am I involved in? Did I do enough? Did I show up enough? That you're honest with yourself to say, well, that's why I didn't get here, is because I didn't show up. So I think it's all in an individual's control as to how they navigate their journey. But if you want to get somewhere with an organization and make an impact, start thinking about what's important to you and making sure that you're bringing that passion to the time that you do give.
Yeah, Catherine, boundaries are such an important part of what we do, right? And having to manage that space between our families, whatever that looks like, in our work life and all of that. And you're such a great role model with that. So for all of the young listeners that we have out there, the women that are trying to manage all of that, what piece of advice would you give towards them? I mean, an entrepreneur starting a business, still, trying to be present in your home and all of that.
Yeah, it is challenging. I mean, so sometimes I don't know that I believe in work-life balance,
Right.
but I also love my work, so it doesn't feel like work. But,
Sure.
but my biggest advice would be to young professionals is reach out to somebody that you admire and ask them for coffee. Ask them to take them to lunch. Invest in that because they will, especially if you're involved in an organization like Inforum or the Technology Council. If you say, I'm on the Technology Council, or you say, I'm a member of Inforum, and you ask for an executive leader for time on their calendar, they will give it.
Yeah.
Because they have that sense of mentorship and wanting to give back. Yeah. And I think that young professionals don't feel like they have the right to ask,
Sure.
What could I offer? And then, use some of the cool tools that we have at our fingertips, AI, like ChatGPT, and noodle some questions and bring questions to that table. Because I think that when you invest in that 30 minutes or that hour lunch with somebody, you'll be surprised at what comes out of it.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not just, again, you're going to bring something to the table, but I think young professionals think that I don't have enough experience to sit down with the CEO of a company, and you absolutely do. Sometimes we need that breath of fresh air, the ideas that you bring. So definitely that's probably the number one thing you can do outside of just joining an organization is set a goal. In fact, on my to-do list, I actually have set appointments with different board of directors that I'm involved in, different individuals. And I actually have a to-do to say, send them a note. So I keep a running tally of people that I should reach out to.
Sure.
And I just drop them a note. How you doing? We should schedule a call. Yeah. Some of them come to fruition, some of them don't. But man, it's really cool when it does, because you'll find that's where the magic is.
Absolutely. I love that. Let's talk a little bit more about building that trusted circle, I call it. And someone told me to do that a long time ago. Get those, 5 or 6 people in your network that you can go to, that trusted source, and bounce ideas off from. So how does one get started with that? Let's say I am a young professional and I want to join a board, be it paid or not, or, I want to build that trusted circle. A couple of quick steps to do that.
Volunteer. Okay. Find the organization that means something to you. Yeah. Volunteer. They'll put you on a committee. Every organization, loves volunteers, whether it's just handing out name tags, but you get plugged in, you see who's there. You kind of make sure it's a fit for you. Yeah. And then once it is a fit, then you'll get onto a committee. You'll get then on to leadership of that organization. That's been my journey with Inforum as I started volunteering. I was on a program committee, and then I just volunteered and showed up as much as I could. And then they just kept putting me to work. And it was funny when I first started, being involved with Inforum, I looked at the state board and these 45 amazing individuals that are, who's who of Michigan companies, right? I said, I want to be a state board member. And I tell you, it took me about 12 years.
Okay.
And I remember when I got the call that I was going to be on the state board, I just hung up and said, wow, what's my next goal? Because I'm now here. Right. So you just gotta, I think intention is the biggest thing that people can do for themselves is I have a OneNote that I put together of who, who's my board of directors, who are my trusted people. And you might have 3 or 4 people that you can call individually or even as a group get together. Yeah. But you also have I call them layers. The first layer is those people that you need to call and commiserate or celebrate when things are happening. quick side story. I was just at this conference in New Orleans 2 weeks ago, and Alex Hanold, who is the free solo climber for El Capitan.
Oh, wow,
he
yeah.
was the keynote.
Okay.
Well, I sat through his presentation just a little bit scared because of the pictures he was showing, because I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah.
But he really resonated with me. He ended up having breakfast with Doug and I that next morning, and he was telling me how he, for 6 years, would go to El Capitan and say, I can't, this is impossible. I can't do it. Well, he did it. And I was really resonated in this conversation because I said, Alex, I have a situation just like that. I'm getting ready to expand my government contracting practice, and I'm scared to death. I'm like, is this my 18th year? What am I doing? Am I crazy to think about expanding this? I have this fear. And I came out of that breakfast going, I can do this. The worst that could happen is I spend a lot of money on this and it doesn't come to fruition,
Right.
which it's going to. We're
Right.
going to be very successful. But if he wasn't successful, he could fall by not using ropes to go up El Capitan.
Yeah.
So I think that what a surprise thing that happened from a little meeting that I wasn't anticipating, but now it's just totally connected in with me to go, I can do this.
Yeah.
And I just have to tap into known resources, known people that I can reach out and say, I'm really scared. Let me talk this through. And you come out of it going, okay, I got this.
Right. Right.
But then the other times where you're like, I just need a little nudge, you've got different people that you put on your list of when should I reach out? Why should I reach out? And keep developing that as you meet your connections. Yeah. And I think the point is to actually have a list of people, kind of like your goals, the people you should be thinking and touching. And as you develop your network, the associations you should be involved in. It's all about having intention and laying out and then checking yourself to say, what am I doing?
Yeah.
We always drop the ball. We always go, shoot, I didn't go to this one or I didn't do that. But just course correct and get back on it, and because things are busy, we're pulled in a lot of directions.
Absolutely. I feel like it's a bit of a vision board, right? To have that vision board.
It's so funny you say that because I did one back in, I think it was 2008, 2009, somewhere in there. And, I put all these things, and it was with a group of ladies, and I had things on there like London and Paris and different things that I saw for myself, my company. And lo and behold, here I am going to open up international locations. And I told my team, my only requirement is we need one in Paris.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was on my vision board.
Right. And then would you invite your local economic developer to go? All right, Catherine, I have some rapid fire questions for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Favorite book?
Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. Ooh. You have to read it.
Okay.
It's amazing. Elizabeth Gilbert wrote the Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh,
but this Big Magic book is it's magical.
Big Magic.
You should read it.
Okay, I will. I love her. Mm-hmm. Favorite podcast outside of Meet Her?
Yes, that's right. Anything by Simon Sinek.
Oh, yes.
I love him. And everything he talks about resonates, whether it's a meme or whether it's a podcast, but anything by Simon Sinek.
Agreed. All right, and we talked a little bit about this, but one piece of advice for any male or female looking to start a business.
Oh, gosh. I have to pick one?
Or where to start.
Oh, yeah. I think where I would start is writing down a list of goals of what you want for yourself.
Okay.
And then once you have those, then you can pick the appropriate vehicle to get there. So if it's that you want to get involved in the community, then okay, I've got to find the right associations or the right connections. If it's education then you've got to decide which school, but you've got to start somewhere. So I think that having goals and then actually forcing yourself, putting it on your to-do list to review those at least quarterly to make sure that you're moving forward. That's the only way you're going to know is so you got to put that baseline down and say, here's where I'm at. if it's the beginning of your career, write down some big goals, dream big, like make them really big monster goals. And then you get to those things not by eating the whole thing, but by taking little bites at a time. So make sure that you're on that path, that you're continuing to move forward towards your goals with a lot of your decisions that you're making. And then you can kind of, as you revisit them, I do it in December every year to go, okay, am I farther now than I was in January? And then you'll start being able to go, wow, yeah, I am moving forward. Just like Alex, he for 6 years kept looking at it going, no way. And then he did it in 4 hours, right?
Yeah, that's great advice.
Thanks.
Catherine, thank you for joining us on Meet Her and for all of the work that you do in the community. I mean, busy running a company, but yet you spend so much time giving back to others. I am so humble and grateful to be a part of your trusted circle.
Oh, thank you so much.
For all of the support that you've given us and over the right place and everything.
It's my pleasure.
For our listeners, how do they find you and follow the work that you're doing with Inforum?
Yeah, definitely. Well, check it out on LinkedIn. You can find me, Catherine Behrenbrinker. I know the last name's a long one, but you can find me. Our website for Symplicity Communications is simplicitycom.com, and that's simplicity with a Y. But check us out. We've got an amazing, marketing manager, Doug, that does some pretty cool things. So find us, and I'm happy to help. Like, reach out to me. I'll have lunch with you. I'll have coffee. But please do connect with me and let me help you.
I love that. And you're going to join us at Tech Week.
Yes.
We have some cool things coming
Definitely.
up. So everybody go on to the website, techweekgr.com, and sign up for the newsletter so that you can find events at Symplicity or wherever during the week.
That's right.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you so much.